Hello, greetings, fellow stationeers, and welcome back to Mimas with me, 54 Bear, where the silliness, I'm afraid to say, has got a little bit out of hand. Allow me to demonstrate. I have here a ball pit, funnel hopper type arrangement, which will take the oars spat out from the unloader, do a bit of filtering. They go into the chute network and they come running round to the front of the furnace, where they go into this little ball dropper type arrangement. We have an outlet up here and we have a couple of inlets here. First one goes into the furnace, and if it bypasses that, it goes into this one here, the return, into the purple network, and under here, and back into here. So that deals with the movement of the oars, but it wasn't quite as simple as that, because the nature of my mining trips is I'll go out and I'll fill up 3 or 4 of the hard mining backpacks. So, 50 or 60 oars probably at a minimum. Now, some of that will be gases and they get filtered out. Some of it will be cobalt and that also gets filtered out. But, there could be a substantial amount of iron and copper and gold and whatnot in there. And by default, when this opens, I have a lever which controls whether it's locked or not. They run out faster than this chute arrangement can actually deal with them. And I wanted to do it this way so that I could always just manually add stuff in. And bit of an issue. Other issues I had, I set up a lever to lock the furnace, because as with any degassing operations, you can find that your furnace builds up pressure much faster than you would like. And under those circumstances, you want to lock it. I had mistakenly assumed that the furnace lock feature, something you can access and control via logic, controlled everything including the import slot. It does not. There may be another way of doing it, but I'm not certain what that is. So that nearly cost me a large explosion. So I have to use a digital chute valve. And unfortunately, this digital chute valve cannot be placed right up against the furnace. So even if I do detect that there is a problem, I throw the lever, it stops it, but whatever is in this one will still go through. So, if I notice, for example, there's a piece of chunk of volatiles there, in a panic I throw this, it's not going to save it. The only thing I can do is demolish or break out the windows, pull this out, hopefully before it does anything. Anyway, if anyone's aware of a way of locking that import slot, I'd be grateful. Anyway, other stuff. So in order to deal with the speed of the stuff that comes out of this one, I have added a bit of code to the chip up here that controls various things, which allows me to set a drop interval. So this is a number of cycles or loops through the program. I can actually demonstrate, I guess. Where's my laptop? There I am. So put that on pause. So this is the setting for the pumps, which I'll deal with in a moment. And this is the thing that does the interval. So rather than doing a count up, it does a count down. It displays what the interval is that you select on the dial. And, it will also take the setting that I want from the lever. And there are a couple of filter conditions where it will just jump out of this particular thing. This will, I can walk you through the code in detail, but I'll probably do that at a later stage. So as it encounters these exit conditions, it exits out of this bit and goes through. And yeah, that seems to work quite well. So you can fine tune it as to how fast you want the oils to drop. I have another lever that allows me to select which chute input I want to use. This is the furnace lock one I was just talking about, but unfortunately it has to access this chute valve. And the rest of it is fairly simple. I've just got a bunch of levers that control a bunch of digital valves. So yes, feature creep is a thing. I have been suffering with it in my professional life, or what was my professional life, for quite a while, and it seems to have persisted into retirement. Anyway, I have a dial here which will set the volume pumps. There are two of them back here. These ones in black. These control whether gas is going into the green tank or out of the green tank and into the yellow pipe network. Yellow pipe network is connected to the output of the basic furnace and really is an extension of the combustion chamber. Now I have a couple of digital valves on this as well. One for the manifold warmer, so if the gas gets a bit too cold and I want to warm it up, I throw the lever, it opens this valve. That valve is connected to this heat exchanger, and this heat exchanger plus another few of them are connected to a new tank I have down here, which is holding pollutants which I had previously been throwing away. So yeah, 840 degrees, that's way hotter than I need. There's also quite a lot of it, and this is the unit that pulls the pollutants out. I had been previously just throwing them away. In fact, I should probably fire up again because the pollutants are still quite warm. So yeah, get a bit more of them, I guess. Right, what else is new on here? Yeah, so that's the lever that controls whether this is locked or not. This is the dial that controls what the drop interval will be. This one is the controls this chute back here. You see right now it's open. Flick the switch, goes to closed. I moved the furnace because I wanted to see the setting of this dial. In this environment I'm not going to use it, so it could have been set further back and I could have not had to move the furnace, but I chose to anyway. This lever here controls which of these two chute inlets is unlocked and the other one being locked. So it's when this is locked, that will be unlocked. When the bottom one is locked, this one will be unlocked. So it works the reverse, the same as I had for the digital valves over there. And these are the levers that control whether the manifold is heated or cooled and whether the green tank is heated or cooled. And the green tank is dedicated specifically to the degassing furnace. I had previously been putting stuff into or taking gas out of the cool tank, the blue tank, and then when I'd finished or when I got overpressured, I was pumping it back in there. Problem with that is when you're doing degassing operations, you end up with a lot of oxygen, volatiles, and nitrous oxide, and that's not necessarily, well, that's actually a bad thing in a tank that you want to cool things down, because you may pump some of it into the advanced furnace and have things combust in unpredictable ways. So yeah, I want to keep oxygen, nitrous oxide, and volatiles out of this one. Anything else, any inert gas, doesn't actually it's not important. I have rejigged the plumbing back here. This is the filtration that pulls out the nitrox and oxygen, and it previously used to work off the blue tank, but as that has all been pulled out, now I need to be pulling it out of the green tank. So yeah, minor pipe shenanigans there. This one hasn't changed. It still will pull CO2 and oxygen out of here. I may rework this because I've had this turned off for a long time now. So yeah, and if I get too much gas in here, I can leave this valve open and open this one, and that will whoosh it all out into the stripy pipe, which is the exhaust up here. So that hot tank also provides heat to another couple. I have, this is the digital valve that is controlled from the front. This will allow me to warm up the contents of the green tank that I may need to do during a degassing operation. This one allows me to warm up the contents of the blue tank if I need to do that. And because I'm using a source of heat that's otherwise disposable, I can be quite liberal with that if I wish. I also have a control for cooling the blue tank. This is not controlled by a lever at the front. If I wanted to activate this, I'd have to come around here with my jetpack and flick the switch. Likewise, I have a similar cooling switch, but this one is controlled from the front. Connects the green tank is permanently connected to the heat exchanger. Throw the switch, it allows a connection to the cooling system without actually exchanging any gas. Now the cooling system I do have to monitor with this analyzer. Once the temperature drops below, I think it's 150 Kelvin, I can't actually remember, it will activate this digital valve, which again will draw heat heat energy from the pink tank down there in the corner and warm up the coolant so that it doesn't freeze and burst pipes. And as convoluted and stupid as this looks, this is actually a fair bit more sensible than previous arrangements I've had. One of the reasons why it's been a few days since I've actually uploaded anything is I've been working on this quite hard, trying to get a system that is robust, easy to use, and does what I want it to do. So far it's working. Previously I had a separate radiator for each heat exchanger, and that was stupid. I mean, the piping looked wonderfully funky, but I couldn't get my head around all the different analyzers and digital valves that were needed to stop the I think there were 5 individual coolant reservoirs, and yeah, it was a handful. So it didn't need to be that complex. As attractive as the piping looked, it was basically stupid. But I did add a feed from the oxygen tank to a pressure regulator here. This allows me to refill this should there be a disaster. But since I put this in, I made certain this time to have the code working and in place before I filled the coolant reservoir, because otherwise you fill it up, it starts getting cold with the radiator straight away, and by the time the code's run, you've already burst a pipe. Anyway, so that is where we are. I've had to move this chute inlet. This allows me to put stuff directly into the sorting system. The sorting system has been broken out into its own power network, so this is really just a power saving feature. It allows me to turn all of these chute outlet bins and all of these sorters and all of what's going to be over here. Can turn it off with a single switch, so it saves power because I am still running into power issues. I don't have an automated way of switching between tanks or anything that happens automatically when the Stirling is producing not enough power. I had a situation just now, or fairly recently, where the batteries went completely flat and the Stirling had not kicked in. There was still power in the nuke here that runs this thing, but for reasons that I've not yet investigated, the gas fuel generator didn't start, or maybe it tried to start but just couldn't get it going because of operating environment. Not certain, but yeah, my power management solution is not very good. I thought it was better than that. I thought I would be protected against the batteries going completely flat. I was wrong. Anyway, all I need to do now is box this up, or finish closing off the windows. In fact, I should do it from the back, because then I can do that window, this window, and then the front one. I can do that easily. Now I think I need to redo these. So that is on, and this I think was set to 0, so I'll just set that to 110. Turn that on, because it won't fill it unless there's anything in the manifold, and I don't have the pumps set. So we'll turn those on. Now you see they're just in the dark green at the moment because both the settings are 0. So when I want to use the dial, I only had space for one switch, so I had to get a little bit creative. So yeah, let me show you with a little spreadsheet. Ta-da! Okay, so this shows you what the dial setting is. It goes from 0 to 20. So if you just subtract 10 from this to get a setting that you can use for the pump, the problem is fine for this first bit, but then the second bit, it gets to be an issue. So what I wanted to do was have the settings work like this. So 10 is the central position. That will be everything off. When you go to 9, it's 1 away from that. And then the inverse of that for the other one. So when, for example, I set the dial to 3, the pump on the inward side is going to be set to -7, which on a pump equates to 0. And the pump on the output side would be set to 7. So that'd be 7 litres. And so by using this one dial, I can control the two pumps. I said 0, or the off position is in the middle, and that works quite well. And all you need to do is you take your value here and you subtract 10 from it. And then to get this one, you just invert it. So from a -10 to a +10 and so on. So that's the basics for getting it set.
Waste tank caution.
All right, I can vent that because I really don't care. Let's get this up there. Close that. Right, so right now I have a little bit of gas in the green tank and I have nothing in the furnace. So if I want to start filling it up, I'll click on the downside. And you see that is showing what the setting of the pump is. So the one that fills up the manifold should be set to 3. It is. And these pressure regulators will start to fill the hotbox. It takes a while for it fully to equalize because the volume pumps aren't great at speed. I may find a need where I should replace them with a single turbo volume pump because that can be set to 100. It uses more power when it operates at high speed, but it may be worthwhile. But for the moment, we'll see how this one goes. So 500 is a good temperature. I don't know.
Hydration critical.
Don't know how long it will keep there. It really needs to be a bit more pressure. I just have a little bit of gas in here just to test the movement of them. So I shall speed it up a little by adding some in from the blue tank, because I have quite a bit in there. So a couple of megapascals, that should be good. So yeah, the hot box is only at half the pressure, so that is taking stuff out of the yellow manifold pipe, and the pressure in the manifold pipe and the furnace will equalize over time. It's not as fast as I would like, but I don't want to put a pump in between the manifold and the furnace. That can create problems. And also, I'm running out of real estate in order to put things. This is probably as compact as I could get a situation like this without putting controls on the floor or the ceiling. I have done that in the past, but I really don't like it. I prefer everything to be on a wall and, where possible, have things together. I mean, to get these two things close together proved to be quite difficult. So a lot of things had to be relocated. Okay, so the hot box is almost at pressure. So we've got 2 megapascals in there. We'll lock the chute. Got the interval set. I think I want it set to 4. I think. At least that's what I was playing with. And at the moment it's set to bypass. So when I pull it up, the ore will go in this one. When it's flat, it goes in this one. So we'll let that continue.
Hunger critical.
And yeah, I'm beginning to starve. So let me go take care of that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so having been suitably refreshed, we'll go over here and right, at the moment this one is set to output ores up there. I'm just going to change that. Let's do a quick bit of chute messing around. And do I have any chutes with me? Yeah, I have a few. Well, we'll just have it spit directly out there. Right, so which of these has my iron in it? That one. There. That's this one. We take that, put in there. It unpacks everything. All of the ore goes in here. I have a valve here so I can actually break the flow should I wish. And once it's finished unloading the backpack, it spits that out as well. This sorter is just outputting all ore through that chute, or through those chutes. And there's my backpack. So, run round to the front. You can see all my ores are stacked up in here. I probably should put more glass chutes in so I can get more of an idea. So at the moment it will bypass the furnace, but just for safety we will lock the furnace anyway. We will open this, and now we get a slow, predictable drop rate. If that ends up being too fast, I could just increase it or decrease that, and that will increase the basically the number of ticks, I think, before it goes to the next one. Once I want to start smelting, I can pull this to open the lever. I can swap that, and now the oil start going in. Now we should see the pressure going up and the temperature begin to come down. Now unfortunately this, I think it's the combination of, oh, of course nothing's going in. Don't. That was bad. Right, so that's a situation I hadn't actually considered. I may have to revisit that. That's just, whoa! Come back here, you. Yeah, so I may have to drop the, or increase the interval so that it matches the time it takes to process the iron ore. Right, so let's put a few in there. And then let's increase the delay. Interesting, you don't see anything in this one. There are times when you do, but I think there's something to do with the having this valve right in front of it. I had noticed that during testing. I was feeding lots of stuff in there and hardly ever saw anything in there unless the furnace was completely jammed up. But okay, that seems to work. So an interval of 6. You can start it off a little more just to preload it, and that should be okay. I'm not seeing anything drop down here. Oh, what a donut. Alright, now it's seeing stuff in there. Yeah, you just don't see it unless it's actually stopped. Okay, so yeah, it's bringing stuff in faster than the furnace can handle it. So probably need to increase the delay, let's say to 8. Because the one thing I want to avoid is this chute network becoming full, which will block this one from accepting anything, and because of the setting of this one is also locked, so the yaw would have nowhere to go. I don't think I can address it programmatically. I might be able to interrogate whether this one is actually occupied, and if this is occupied, then it would open this one, maybe, and then just use this to have like a default type arrangement. Okay, well, it looks like that's all of my iron ore processed, assuming nothing has freaked through the walls of the chutes, as sometimes happens. But yes, that's a demonstration of the degassing furnace. And temperature has been maintained reasonably well. That's largely due to the hot box. We have a lot more gas in there now. And let's have a look and see what we have. Maybe a pipe analyzer on this would be a useful thing. Oh, that's not good. So, overstressing because of liquid pollutants. Well, I think the thing to do there is whack on a liquid drain. Oh no, I don't want it connecting to that one. Yeah. Okay, so that will get rid of the liquid. And pipe stress is nicely down to 0 again. Okay, so that's given me, I've got 50 degrees Celsius before it drops below the degassing point. So, yeah, I'm glad that the hotbox is keeping it at a relatively stable thing. But now I have to worry about liquids in that setup. So let me see if we have anything there. No. Good. Alright, so probably need to put in some alerts. So if this gas sensor and maybe the addition of a pipe analyzer somewhere on the furnace manifold, to detect when there is liquid in the pipe and to let me know, because that can blow things up in a hurry. Of course, I'm still pumping stuff in, so let me set that back to 0. But yeah, that is the degassing furnace in all its glory. It puts stuff up into here, it salts it correctly, and yeah, we've got a fair bit of iron. It comes back to here at least, probably more. It'd be really interesting to have this all as glass chutes, but the frame rate kind of tanks with that many. I can already feel it's a little bit more sluggish than normal. I probably have too many glass chutes in play. But yes, hopefully you found something useful and of interest, and if you did, please hit the like button. Let me know if you have any questions. Also, let me know down in the comments. It's always a delight to hear from you, although I remain disappointed that nobody has left me a good dad joke. I like dad jokes. I'm old, what can I tell you? I just like dad jokes, and if you've got a good one, let me know. But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one. 54 Bear out.